Oh, no. Let's go back past here.
There's some nice shortcuts. Just take the search box.
Yeah, I should. Yes. You tell me you want to switch back.
So that's
Yeah. No, it's, I was going to be your person. This is what brought me for like 3 hours.
is this
So now I understand the logic on this. It gives you hard to do somebody's trying to say we're just testing.
these are you can say
Because we can't just
but if we follow this well, we hear about somebody that is visible by the here. I mean, it'll so yeah, in our class here,
You start writing slides. Well, yeah, it's whatever.
Do we also have to test the main method again?
Whatever you want. I mean, it's no, the main method is not required.
Yeah, even
if you implemented the main method. You can probably test the main method,
Yeah.
but if you haven't done it, you don't need to.
And the last test case, the negative one that divides by 4
Yeah.
and gets limit of 1. I was not able to get this thing. So
Yeah, I don't know. Is this test case even valid? We didn't really talk about it, did we?
okay, you didn't write this.
No.
Yeah.
You all sourced this, so I don't.
I wasn't sure.
We should probably talk about that then.
Yeah.
There was an application that was
A little weird.
Oh, no, okay, you did use it. You did use it.
Yeah, so.
Sorry. Oh, no. Oh, sorry. We're submitting that as a command line. So we capture the arguments. So
you have to. We should do
we need more.
Essentially, what you're saying is, do you want this to happen by things? In this case, you don't want maybe just the argument is not a number. R0
Yeah.
For project 1, actually, I haven't submitted it yet because I haven't completed the coverage. So I submitted that
When
and I
did you do that?
thank you.
Has one started Google Hangout these days? It's all different. Is it still free? Google Hangouts?
Yeah, it's nice to
Okay, so it's sending me the G Suite page, so I guess. What? I know, right? Hey, I just stopped using Google Plus 2 years ago, so.
please.
There we go. What? Cool. Yeah.
Because I was looking up on Stack Overflow how other people were approaching integration testing with
Yeah. So I posted a Google Hangout link. What? Yeah, and well, so here's the thing. I'm curious to see what you all have done, and like, what's the best way for you to share your screen with everybody else? Let's do a Google Hangout. So please join. Mute your speaker, but keep your microphone on so that it shows up in the recording. And let's see here. So let's have one person join. What do I need to do? I need to also mute my speakers, I guess.
What if I don't have that?
Yeah, dude, if you click on channels.
Oh, okay, channels.
Hey, Jeffrey,
these
since
are
you're
like-
on, do you know how to share your screen?
Do I know how to share
There's
it?
a, let's see here. Boy, they still make it easy, do they?
Yeah, let's see.
So it's like, mine's up in the top. Yep,
Yeah,
there
I'm
you go.
screen sharing.
And so then, I went to your IntelliJ on the screen. Wow, it's like super readable. It's nice. Well, anyway, so let's do some reporting out. So please join the Google Hangouts, and I just take a minute and show off your solution and talk about what it is that you did and your experiences pairing so far. So Jeffrey, thanks for volunteering to go first, or maybe voluntold because I told you to do it. So let's tell us about your program here.
So I'm going to skip the first line. We'll come back to that because that's the last thing we added. But sort of the main thing is we went through each one of the cases in the document, the acceptance criteria for leap years, and we just created a test, say, and it's nice that they provided with examples of what should pass, what shouldn't. And okay, if it's divisible by 400, it's a leap year, so we wrote an assertion, and then just wrote an if statement.
Yeah, let's all listen to Jeffrey. He's got the floor. You might learn something, and his partner put in a lot of work on this. Let's give him the respect by being quiet. So seriously, that means you people are talking. Thanks.
Yeah, so we just wrote one for each of those cases. It passed. IntelliJ actually gave a nice little, you can simplify our last two cases to just this return the value of this expression.
Yeah.
And the one thing we were interested in coming back up was how do we handle negative years? And is that sort of a valid construct? Also, there's no year one or no year zero. If you think about things, so we decided that this is an illegal argument, and so we just threw an exception in that case.
Nice. Curious, what's your test coverage look like? Do you know how to do that in IntelliJ?
Yeah.
Your code coverage? Yeah. See how you did. It's like some game show.
What about a car?
Price is Right, anybody? No one else had chickenpox in 1985 like I did? Stayed home and watched it. Nice. Let's see here. 77%, not bad. Okay.
But it covers all the lines in the.
Yeah, all the lines in the, yeah. Everything is good.
Okay with that.
Excellent. What was it like pairing? Did you let him code it all?
Yeah.
We switched after every function, or I guess every test in this situation.
Yeah.
It worked out well.
Cool.
Good communication.
Any question for Jeffrey on that? Play golf clap. Nice. Thank you for sharing. It's probably a little unusual to put your code up in front of everybody else, but that looks good.
I'm
Okay,
used to
who
it.
else would like to share what they've done? There's a link in the Slack. Who else is up? Let's see here. Alexis, you want to go next?
Sure.
Okay, let's see. Please unmute. That way it'll show up in the recording.
Let me unmute.
There you go.
Okay.
To mute myself.
So it's like you're sharing your screen. May say something
Alright,
so you get
can
the.
y'all
There you
hear
go.
me?
Nope.
Excellent. So we
Okay.
decided,
Yeah, let's give Alexis the floor. Let's all listen well.
hi everyone, I'm very loud. So we decided to go with a test-driven development approach. Surprising, certainly not me. But essentially what we did is we created a bunch of different test cases. So we have pretty solid code coverage, I would say. We decided to go with actually throwing an exception if someone gives a negative or a zero value, because it turns out zero is not actually on the Gregorian calendar. We looked it up, so it doesn't count as a year. But yeah, I can show you the code that we ended up writing.
Tyler, can you mute? Sorry, Tyler, can you mute? Because you're picking up your microphone. Thank you. Thanks, Alexis.
Yep.
Nice. Okay, and let's see. Oh, you got a test class too. What's that look like?
Oh, yeah. Here's all of our many testing.
Nice. So let's say, do you feel that your tests are complete? For all the tests you want to do? Okay.
Yeah.
Good deal. How did you know you were done testing?
Because we couldn't think of any more test cases.
Yep, fair enough. Nice. Did you run the code coverage?
No,
Let's
but
give it a try.
it should be 100%. So let's find out. I don't think you can see that because I'm only sharing my
Okay, fair enough.
application
Well, I think
window.
it'll show up
But
in the main one, won't it? Or maybe not. I don't know.
I will run verify and I will report back the
Okay.
value that I receive.
Awesome. Any questions for Alexis? No? Nice. Let's hear test room development. Thank you very much.
Yay!
Okay. Who else would like to share what they've done? Yeah, go ahead. Yeah, please unmute.
What are? Oh, P grade.
And Alexis, if you could please mute.
Apologies.
You're still muted according to this, so it won't show your screen until it detects you're on audio and on mic. There you go. Cool.
Okay.
There you go. Look, it's that picture of me. Okay. Yes. Please put a window over that.
There we go.
It's a very old picture of me. As much
So we also started with test-driven development and just kind of started with going down the use cases one by one and creating a test for one, and then writing the code that would fix it. So testing that for year 400 should be true. Write the test case or divisible by 400, write the test case, and then just doing basically if statements. So checks uses modulus, runs through true, false, and they all kind of build on each other, and then by the end it returns false. And then we've also created a parsing method. So it takes in the string and throws some exceptions if it's detected as a string, or in case if it's a negative number, throws some various exceptions, and then which is caught by the main method here. So far we have good code coverage, and we just started integration tests. So
nice. What was it like pairing? What was your experience pairing?
it's good. We both likes to use Vim, and I like to use IntelliJ, so we've been going back and forth on stuff, and it's been interesting seeing kind of some of the differences. And
Yeah. Okay. So how did you share code?
yeah,
Git push. They use Git, so you push it up there, and then
back and forth.
get it.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yep.
Careful to avoid conflicts and all that kind of stuff. That's good. Yeah. Excellent. Okay. Any question for Tyler and company? No? Nice job, guys. Okay. Got a couple more people. Anybody else want to volunteer to show off what they've done? Yeah. Go ahead, guys. So please unmute. Okay. Technical difficulties are to be expected. It's for me. It's the top right. It's the three little dots. Screen share. Okay, no, that's cool. It's all right. Let's see here. That was Daniel. Anybody else want to go? Anybody whose name begins with J, like Jordan or Joseph? Okay, so that's you. So yeah, let's let me show you. That's weird. Okay. Yeah, we'll figure it out for next time then. Cool. Okay. Anybody else want to share? That was a lot of sharing. I get it. Okay. Awesome. Well. So my turn to talk again. So great. Thank you for sharing all of that. That was super cool. That was pair programming, and we'll have an opportunity to do a little bit more of it later today, and certainly in the next couple of weeks. But first, I want to be sure to talk about Project 3. Okay, so the next phase of your project, you'll be working with Java's facilities for sorting information and working with dates. A number of you have asked about the date class, and now you'll have an opportunity to do it. And so what you'll be doing is adding the ability to what I'm calling pretty print the flights in an airline. So in Project 2, you are developing a text file format, which is a file that, yes, it's text, but it's meant to be read by a computer, so it has to be very pretty. In Project 3, in addition to your text file, you'll also be having the ability to take airline and pretty print it in a way that a human can read it and understand it. So there are a couple of internal changes that'll make the pretty printing easier. First, this is the project in which you implement the get arrival and get departure methods that return Java util dates. So this is a new object that you can learn about in the core API lecture. And I'm also requesting that you change the implementation of get arrival string and get departure string to format the dates, the arrival date and the departure date, using something called dateformat.short. Again, you can read about that in the lecture. So probably in projects 1 and 2, you represented your arrival time and your departure time as strings, and that was fine. That was absolutely appropriate. But now we're modeling them as dates, and so when it comes to formatting that date for the string methods, the get departure string and get arrival string, use dateformat.short. Now, when an airline is pretty printed, its flights should be sorted alphabetically by the code of their airport. So now there's sorting involved in the project. So first, they should be sorted alphabetically by the code of their source. If you have multiple flights that depart from the same airport, then you should sort them chronologically by their departure time. And if you have a flight that departs from the same airport and at the same time, those should be considered equal. And as you read up on, as you study, so either through lectures or through your own research, how Java comparison is, you need to understand when two objects are considered to be equal. I recommend that you implement sorting by having your flight class implement the comparable interface. So comparable has some nice properties that you can read about in the lecture. So flights, there's sorting now for flights in an airline. And finally, there is a pretty printer class. This is a new class that you will provide. It implements airline dumper, is a kind of airline dumper. But instead of dumping to a text file, it creates a nicely formatted text representation of the airline and its flights. I recommend that you use the date format class to make your dates look nice in the in the pretty output. And there's also a class called airport names that I provide that gives you the city names for a whole bunch of different airports. Additionally, your pretty printer should also include the duration of the flight in minutes. So this is something new that you'll have to add for your pretty printer. All this functionality is driven by a Project 3 main class that looks a lot like the command line for the Project 1 and Project 2. So it's got optional arguments, optional options followed by required arguments. The arguments are the same as they've always been in terms of their order and what they mean. So the airline, flight number, source, airport, the departure time, the destination airport, and the arrival time. There is a new option, however, called Dash Pretty. So Dash Pretty specifies where the where the airline is pretty printed to. So if and it takes an argument after it, just like text file. If the argument is the character dash, so if you say dash pretty dash, then you should write you should pretty print the airline to standard output. Otherwise, the argument that follows dash pretty should be interpreted as the name of a file to write the pretty printed version of the airline to. So the whole idea is that you're supposed to be able to print not only to a file, pretty print to a file, but also pretty print to standard out. You have the same dash text file option as you did last time, and the whole same thing, right? You read in from the dash text file and then you write out to it. And you have print from Project 1 and readme from Project 1. So that is the command line. There are some notes here, and I'll come and take questions. Note that the 3-letter airport codes on the command line are case insensitive. That you should add the flight first and then pretty print the airline. And also, I changed the date format on the command line. It's no longer 24-hour time. It's now 12-hour time with AM and PM. The form of the date is the same, but now the time is different. Error handling. So there's more functionality in your program, and now there's more error conditions to consider. So I'm looking for programs that exit gracefully with nice user-friendly error messages. So for instance, your command line is incomplete or there's extra stuff on it. The format of the day or time, which is now different, is incorrect. Now it's considered an error if the flight's arrival time is before its departure time. We're not going to worry about time zones, but if it arrives before it departs, that should be considered an error. Also, it's an error if the 3-letter code does not correspond to a known airport from that airport names class. So, some new functionality. We already have some questions. Yes?
Yeah, so I noticed a space between 9:60 and PM.
Yes.
Will that, or does it have to be another comma?
There are. It now takes. Let's see here. It now takes 3 command line parameters to represent the date and time instead of 2. Yep. Good question. What else can I tell you about this? The dash pretty dash gets people all the time. That's something that's confusing. But yep, dash pretty space dash writes to standard out. Everything else interprets that as a file. Yeah.
You said that there's an airport code class that has that?
Yes. There's a class called airport names that you should use as the source of truth for all airports. It's probably about 20 years out of date now. But anyway, you don't build that many new airports. Yeah.
And for pretty file, it says preprint the text file or standard output file dash. So
Yes. So if the file here, so if you say dash pretty dash, it writes to standard out. If you say dash pretty.txt, it writes it to a file called pretty.txt. Yeah.
Is the airport names class already in?
Yes, you should be able to import it. Yep. Mm-hmm. Yep, it's there. It's in the same jar file as like abstract flight. Yep. Good question. Okay. This is due in 2 weeks, February 5th. Okay. Awesome. Let's see here. That's all the content that we have for class. So let's take no more than another 25 minutes to do some more pair programming, and we'll do another readout. If you're done with your pairing, that's fine. We saw some very complete solutions. You're free to go. Also, if you want, since you're here with your partner, so you can do the reflection now. It might be interesting to do that with your partner. That's totally okay. I guess just don't copy it. Yeah, please put stuff in your own words, maybe. I don't know. So I don't know if I'm going to. Okay. Yeah, no, go ahead and do it. What the heck? You finish early. So then just on that, we'll have a similar class next week. But we will be introducing Project 4 next week, so I recommend that you do come at least for that. I'll try to do it towards the beginning of class, and then we'll be doing another pair programming kata next week. So meanwhile, I guess I'll do the kata for the benefit of anybody who wants to watch. And so please feel free to stay around if you're still pairing. If you're done, you can do the reflection and head on home. Yep.
Uses a lot.
Okay, now I'm going to do the kata all by myself. No one will pair program with me. I'm still recording, right? I think so. Okay, so let's see here. Here's leap years. Don't need that. Let's just split here. Get rid of this. Okay, so first leap year test. Year 2000 is a year. Hey. Okay. So let's see here. Leap year is. Oh, you have a question?